All right, we'll call the city council meeting to order. This is the regular meeting for July 20th, 2021. Okay.
Hope so.
All right, we'll start over. This is the city council meeting for July 20th, 2021. Let's begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, our regular recorder, Wes Stilley, is not here this evening, so my first order of business is I'm going to appoint or ask Council Member Lynn Dumas to fill in as recorder tonight.
I'll accept.
So, worthy recorder, would you call the roll?
Councilmember Dumas, here. Councilmember Elwood,
Here.
Councilmember Graves,
Here.
Councilmember Mills,
Here.
Councilmember Pittman.
Here.
All attendants.
And I'll declare a quorum. A couple of things on the agenda, or maybe one thing on the agenda. I want to move the resolution to approve us applying for a broadband engineering study grant. I want to move that up to the first item of new business so that our guest here, Rodney, doesn't have to sit through the whole meeting unless he so desires. So with that change, do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
I'll second.
Who? Ken? Did you move? Jerry moved. Jerry moved and Linda seconded it. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The agenda is approved. I do not have any minutes to review and approve.
Wes sent them out. I read them. They were
Did he
good.
send them out?
Yeah, the June 15th minutes,
All right. I don't have a copy with me, so.
they were distributed.
They were distributed. Are there any additions or corrections that anybody noted on those minutes
No.
as distributed?
You want to go ahead and approve?
Then I'll entertain a motion. We approve the minutes.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Okay. Pat made the motion. Linda seconded it. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved, and you can post them on the website.
Mr. Mayor, the notes I have, does it need a roll call?
Does what?
For the minutes?
Yeah.
Does it need a roll call vote?
I don't think so.
Okay.
The only thing we've ever done a roll call vote on was for ordinances and resolutions.
Okay, thank you.
Ceremonials, recognitions, proclamations, and memoriam. We do have a proclamation. Did she leave?
Yeah, Donna left. I guess she expected you to do that.
But she took the copy of the proclamation.
Oh.
Well,
Is she still there?
is Donna still outside?
Okay. I don't know what she's in. I don't know what she's in. I don't see her. No, I think she's gone.
Can it wait till
Okay.
next week? Next month?
Yeah, well, since it's several months late already, Donna Grimes asked that we read the Arbor Day proclamation. Arbor Day was April 30th, and Holiday Island is a tree city, and we normally observe Arbor Day here and do something in honor of Arbor Day. And she brought me a proclamation to read and left with it again. So maybe we'll read the proclamation at the next meeting. Any other ceremonials, recognitions, proclamations? All right, we'll move on to reports. The financial statements for June are on the website. We have not been formally approving financial statements. However, Wes and I are discussing that because I noticed in the Tontitown agenda, their standard agenda, they do approve the financials monthly, so.
EOC does too.
Yeah, it might not be a legal requirement, but it may be precedence, so maybe by next time we may officially approve them. The only kind of downside to doing that is that we have the meetings late in the month, and if we don't post the financials until they're approved, then they're pretty much a whole month old before we get them up on the website. So that's the downside of formally approving the financial statements before they're posted. I have no special committee reports for tonight. We have no old business on the agenda, which brings us to the first item of new business, which is Resolution 2021-003, an approval to apply for broadband engineering study grant. And let me find that. I will entertain a motion to put this resolution on the floor for discussion.
Make a motion, we put resolution number 2021-023 on the floor.
Ken made the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Jerry Pittman seconded it. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Jerry, you want to read the resolution?
Yeah. Let me call it up.
Come on now. There it is.
Here, I'll try to get it up.
I've got it up. You want it, Jerry?
Yeah. Thank you. There's the one thing I didn't print. Resolution number 720. Here it is. Hang on. Well, the number was wrong on that first one.
It's just 2021.
2021-23.
Yeah, 2021-23, resolution authorizing application for a broadband engineering grant. Whereas a sizable number of residents of the city of Holiday Island lack access to sufficient internet connectivity, and whereas both the state and federal government have created programs and grants that will assist and help fund rural communities achieve the goal of ensuring high-speed broadband access to residents, and whereas the first step in the process would be authorizing the mayor and or his designees to consult with WISP Management LLC, a Carroll County-based company, in preparation and submission of an application for a state rural broadband ID grant to pay up to $75,000 for an engineering and feasibility study to determine the need for broadband in Holiday Island, design a plan to install fiber optic cables throughout the city, and project the costs for implementation. And whereas in anticipation of approval of the aforementioned grant, in consultation with WISP Management LLC, the city would select the company to perform the study and determine a timeline for its completion. And whereas during the time the engineering study is performed, the city should research internet service providers capable of implementing the design plan, and the city also should determine additional grant opportunities and other state and federal funding sources to pursue. Now be it resolved by the Town Council of the City of Holiday Island, City Council of Holiday Island, that the mayor and or his designees are authorized to submit an engineering grant application to determine the feasibility, design and cost of providing fiber optic broadband to the residents of Holiday Island. Passed and approved by the Town Council of Holiday Island, Arkansas on this date, 7/20/2021.
Okay, Jerry, I'm going to turn the floor over to you and let you kind of lead the discussion on this and tell everybody what's involved and how our guest, maybe introduce our guest for officially into the record. And
just a little bit of background. As many of you know, the resolution indicated that the government, both federally and in the state, have allotted several $millions, if not billions, to provide rural broadband. And as I said, the first step is to do this engineering study to assess the need, which will be no surprise to anybody that there is a dramatic need with the spotty service that we have and the number of miles of roads and the wooded and mountainous terrain. We've got tonight. Rodney, you want him at the podium?
oh, he can sit right here.
Or sit right there.
You
That
want to
might
sit
be
right
good.
here? The guest, you can sit at the big table. With
Sit with the grown-ups.
Our guest is Rodney Balance of Berryville. He's the owner and creator of Berryville. Tell everybody what you're.
Well, I own Berryville Broadband.
Okay.
And also Wisp Management, a consulting and engineering company.
And he's working throughout Carroll County to provide. Initially, he was doing wireless service to customers in north of Berryville, south of Berryville. The problem here is you have to have a line of sight from a tower to the homes, and that would just not be feasible. So he's been successful working this grant process and has gotten one approved.
Yes, yeah, we received a grant in February for the state.
Yeah, and so I know that we've expressed interest, and other municipalities in Carroll County have expressed interest, and so this grant application, we're on a kind of a tight deadline to get it submitted, and we would work with Rodney to fill out the grant application, provide supporting documents, and if approved, and hopefully it would be approved, with consulting with Rodney, we would select an engineering company, and they would do the feasibility study, which would be to see how it would be designed and what it would cost. And at that point, just as the resolution says, we would have to provide select a provider to work with, and he would consult us on that, and he would be our partner in that. If you want to look at the grant application and what documents are will be submitting, you can go on the website, and Linda, where are they?
You want me to pull that up? I can pull it.
Yeah,
up.
we can.
It's
Can I-
posted on the website, though.
Yeah, they're on our cityofholidayisland.com on the website.
If someone wants to go to the meeting docs, it's in the meeting docs.
Yeah, you can show everybody where it is on the website, but it's like 180 pages, so
Yeah,
we're not going to go through the grant application.
No, but no.
Meeting.
This is what's on the website that I'm going to show you here in a second.
Okay. Lynn?
Is the 75,000 a maximum amount that they might award, or is that the determined amount that we're going to need because of our terrain and locale?
This particular grant is maxed out at $75,000.
Okay.
It includes feasibility and engineering studies, as well as actually receiving the blueprints from the engineers that we bring on board to design the network for us.
Okay.
Do you mind if I continue, Jerry?
Sure.
I just completed the application with the city of Berryville, doing the exact same thing for particular areas in their municipality, and we work closely with the folks in Little Rock who oversee the grant, because every municipality and government entity that is eligible to apply for this money, everybody has a little bit different need. For example, over there, we had a combination of a poverty level and a business park that they've recently launched with no internet whatsoever. Here, we may need more to look toward underserved medical situation. It might be, and then of course, we don't know until I get talking to people, but just kind of guessing, just because of the average age of the population of Holiday Island, it might be more feasible for us to apply from a perspective of underserved medically than impoverished, for example.
Are we contracting with you to complete the application for the grant, or are you going to do the study?
I will assist in putting together the grant application.
Okay.
But the contract is for actually conducting the study and hiring the engineers to do the work.
Oh.
So
Okay, so the study will actually be performed by an engineering.
by certified engineers, yes, sir.
Okay.
What's boy? We need younger people on this. I don't fully understand broadband anyway. But what is the cost roughly of preparing the application for a grant? What's the deadline? Because Jerry mentioned that deadline's coming up rather quickly. And if we get the grant for $75,000, just a wild guess, is that enough to cover the engineering study that has to follow?
The engineering, I don't know. I don't know if it's going to cover all the engineering, but it will cover enough to where we can apply for larger grants to actually begin the work. And out of some of that grant money, we can continue the engineering and getting the blueprints as we develop the network.
Okay. Is this going to be fiber optic then?
Yes, or fiber to the home is what I recommend.
Okay.
Lynn?
Are these grants 100% funded by the government with no participation from the city?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Okay.
Well, there's a whole bunch of that out there in that disaster aid or whatever that's.
Again, do we have a deadline for completing the application or the?
I believe the
grant
deadline
request?
that Jerry referred to was they're having their monthly approval meeting in a few weeks.
Okay.
And we'd like to get it in so that we could get the project rolling.
If you look at the document-
what's the cost of preparing the application for the grant roughly?
I'm
Zero.
Oh, okay.
I'm
I like that.
Another volunteer.
Another volunteer exercise.
If we
Right.
get the grant, the $75,000 grant, it covers your costs, right?
Yes, ma'am. But it also covers for an employee of the city to coordinate with me. We put together a task force made up of community residents, politicians, business owners, whoever are impacted. And that task force oversees the implementation of the whole program, of this grant. So we want to make sure it's not just, hey, you know, give me the money and I'll take care of you. This is a hand-selected group of professionals that will coordinate with me so that we can educate as well, because that's one of the things we're going to need to do is educate you guys on exactly what is broadband. How is it going to change your life? How is it going to make things different? Because if folks are faced with a situation of switching from a cable company who also provides internet to an internet company, then how am I going to get my TV? How am I going to do my telephone? All of these things. So I want to make sure that the city leaders are well versed and educated in these things. And then with the eventual grants that come about, education to the public is also included in those grants. But we'll put you guys at the forefront of knowledge, enabling you to be able to answer questions.
And Dan and I talked this afternoon, and that's his intention, is to assemble a team to work with Rodney.
This endeavor would replace Cox, which Cox right now has cable over a very small part of Holiday Island.
After the feasibility study and the engineering's done, you may decide you want Cox to come in and put the fiber in for you. It's your choice at that point as to what provider you want to use.
Okay.
I'll work closely to, help you make a good decision as to who can focus on and provide exactly what you need.
Well, I remember we tried to get them to expand their coverage, and they chose not to.
But that's one thing that the engineering study will show is how many people do not have, internet, whether it's broadband or not, they don't have internet access.
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you right now, we get applications from Holiday Island every week for people wanting internet because they don't have any other option.
I've heard as many as 500 people or 500 homes in Holiday Island, Cox hasn't run cable to and won't unless you pay them a couple $1,000s on up.
Whatever they put in, and I don't know when they put it in, but they've never chosen to expand.
Ken, you need to speak into the mic a little bit more because I don't think we're picking up your sound in the mic.
I just said that Cox has chosen never to expand their network. I mean, they just kind of just said, no, we're not interested.
I have a question. With regard to Cox and the cable that they have strung out here to where they've strung it, that's not fiber optic, right?
That's correct.
And it's not as fast as fiber optic, correct?
That is correct.
Was that coax?
So if we were to, and your thought is perhaps to put fiber optic to all the locations in Holiday Island?
Yes, ma'am. My goal is to provide, Carroll County has 0 homes with fiber optic cable to them right now. My goal, and I met with our county judge this morning, his as well, is to turn that around so that all of Carroll County has access to fiber. The electric co-ops across the state have taken it upon themselves and taken a lot of grant money to provide fiber optic cable to people using their existing poles and easements. Carroll Electric has chosen not to do that. However, they have chosen to sign a contract with me and my internet company to use their poles to provide that internet to their customers. So we're very thankful to have that pole attachment agreement with them, which enable us to reach any customer they have.
Another question. With regard to the cable company, Cox, if you put fiber optic all over Holiday Island, could Cox use that to run their cable service rather than their current cable and have a better service? Is that something that would benefit Cox in the long run? I mean, whether you put it in or Cox puts it in, if it's fiber optic.
Well, it would be It would be a business agreement between the two entities that put it in, whether Cox wanted to lease access to the fiber or if we provide internet through the fiber.
My question is more like, is it a vehicle that will carry cable TV?
Oh, yes.
Fiber optic.
Oh, yes.
I had it in Oklahoma. I can tell you, my TV, my telephone, and the computer somehow were all integrated,
Okay.
and I could answer the telephone on the TV if I wanted to. It's incredible.
Everything nowadays is internet-based. The days of cable companies and telephone companies are going the way of the dinosaur. The internet is the vehicle by which all medium travels. And using
So hackers shut it down.
the antiquated copper systems of telephone companies and cable companies just prevent us from being able to access the speed and the bandwidth that is needed for so many things today.
What
Fiber optics would open that up and just explode.
what kind of speed are they getting with fiber now?
Well, we built our network on a 10 gigabit per second
Okay.
platform.
When I was laying cable fiber optic, I think we were getting 1 meg. It was the maximum.
Just a couple of points as a matter of definition. Whether it's coaxial cable or fiber optic cable, I don't think is important to the government when it comes to their goal of making broadband accessible, because Cox, tell me if I'm wrong, but their definition of broadband is 25 megabit download and 3 megabit upload. And anybody that has Cox cable out here probably has that. And so by definition, I think if you have Cox cable here, you have broadband, and you would not be one of the underserved people that the state of Arkansas is looking at helping with this program. So I think our focus is going to be more on the, third of our population that has no service. And, that I think is going to get us, more attention than.
I don't know what percentage it is. It's most of the backside, I think, isn't it?
He said 500 homes.
There's people on top of Rocky Top in your neighborhood that don't have it.
And there's folks on Appaloosa that don't have it at the end of it, at the top.
So, that's my goal in this project, is to make sure that everybody in Holiday Island has internet. If it's fiber optic, it's got a lot more potential, obviously, than if it's just coaxial cable. But if it's at least basic coaxial cable, people could do, the basics. And with Cox, if you have the cable running to your house, you can buy more bandwidth or more speed or whatever it is. You can pay for more. So it just might not be, the advantage Cox has is there's no competition out here. So they can charge whatever they want to. If you want to upgrade your system, if you want to work from home and you have a lot of data to upload and download, or you have to stream a lot of things or something, they kind of got you. They can charge whatever they want.
Well, Linda, you read some numbers once at Rotary about the number of kids that live here, which would surprise people.
I can't remember that number if you're asking me, but
Well,
there was a lot.
there were almost 100 school-age kids that live in Holiday Island that either go to Eureka or, some may go to Berryville or whatever. And with more and more schools doing virtual classrooms, and I would think that would also be a criteria that we could mention.
If you don't have the internet as a student anymore, you are really handicapped. So,
And as far as population count, it's more than just the 500 homes. It's all the lots in between that could be homes one day. a lot of lots
good
of
point.
opportunity.
That's a really good point because they're flying off the market as we speak.
Right. So
So that, that's why we need the engineering study.
Yeah.
One other point about the 75,000, it's a concern that Wes and I had. Usually with these grants, and especially with this COVID money, they give you the money, they let you spend it, and you don't have to get pre-approval necessarily on, what you're spending it on. But if after all the money is spent, you can't prove that it was spent correctly, wisely, and you got something for the money, then you got to pay it back. And we were wondering, do we have the authority to accept grant money that could eventually be a $75,000 liability? And because something could go wrong. And we don't have the reserves to cover a $75,000 mistake. So, but in the grant application or in the grant paperwork, it says that I think the very first thing you have to do after you're awarded the grant is to provide a bond to cover whatever amount of money they give you. So there is going to be some financial requirement on our part. I have no idea what a $75,000 bond would cost us, but
I don't know, we had to get a bond or the city of Eureka Springs had to get a bond for the ambulance, and that was like $250, and it wasn't that, it was like $1,000 maybe.
now, we don't need that until we're awarded the grant and get the money. So we have time to worry about that. And if it turns out that we can't get a bond or that it's too expensive, we can always turn down the grant money. The other thing about timing on this is that this is coming through the University of Arkansas Medical Center, medical school, and because there's a need to service rural people, medically online. So they got a big chunk of money that they could use, and they divided it up into $75,000 grants. There's a finite number of grants, and this program has been going on already for over a year.
Yeah, the actual deadline of it was June 30th.
Right.
That was when he asked the question that says in the application that it's a fluid number. They keep moving the end date.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
that's
But
not
what
going to
they
go.
haven't, but what's not fluid is how big the pot is.
No, that's right.
When the money is
At some
gone, it's
point.
gone.
There
So-
were 30 of these grants available.
Right, so we gotta, and we know of at least, we're pretty sure Eureka Springs is gonna apply, and Berryville already has, so,
And the county is also.
and the county, so, just in Carroll County, we're trying to snap up 3 or 4 of them. So,
Well,
if we don't get in there pretty quick, the money will be gone.
But Rodney, wouldn't it be fair to say that the point about the liability, that this is probably the lowest risk of any of the steps is the engineering study? I mean,
There is no risk.
yeah, that's what I was thinking. It might show that we can't do it, that it's not feasible, but that would not be spending it unwisely. So,
Yeah. Well, and, hopefully it would be scalable. So, if the whole project is going to cost $5 million and we don't have access to $5 million, we may have access to $1 million. We'll see how far that takes us.
Well, the point of this grant, in the way it was explained to me by the folks in Little Rock, is to put all of your pieces of your puzzle together to help you apply for the larger grant that would enable us to actually do the work and physically lay the cable, thereby no money out of the pocket of the city. And so this is just the first step of determining where the fiber needs to go. And you've already identified 500 homes and probably maybe that many more empty lots. And we've identified that now there's school-aged children that need access, as well as the medically underserved. So these are very valid points from which the grant is, or by which the grant is designed. So we hire and the great thing about this is I'm your contact. I educate, I hire the engineers do their part, I present to you, and we talk about how the best way to lay it all out is. You don't have a bunch of different people to deal with, and you know you're going to end up with some blueprints at the end of it. That's the deliverables. You know, the blueprints and the feasibility study of, okay, what's it going to cost? How are we going to get the money? Okay, we're going to apply for this Reconnect grant of $6 million to put in, or $3 million or whatever it's going to be, to put in X number of miles of fiber. So that's kind of how it all fits together.
Any other questions for Robbie?
Do you own the engineering company then?
No, sir. The engineers, the state gives us a list of engineers that are approved, and then there's there's an engineer actually out of Georgia we're using for the city of Berryville, but they have representation here in Arkansas. It's not an Arkansas-based engineer group, but they do work in Arkansas. So the engineers will be, the task force and I will agree on the engineering firm to actually do the work. And then I'll pay them out of what the contract price is for me to oversee everything.
Okay.
I have another question. Jerry mentioned that you already got one grant approved.
Yes, ma'am.
And who was that with?
That was a grant for setting up a fixed wireless network north of Berryville, and that was the state. It was the same people that are doing this grant. It was through UAMS, and it was a couple $100,000, but they liked the way we did the job, and were very encouraging of us applying for more grants.
Okay, so are they about to undertake that project then, or?
It's already completed.
The project is completed.
Yes, we finished it 3 months early, and all inspections have been done, and
Good.
everything's
How many people are served by that one?
up to 200.
Okay. Good.
You mentioned a financial transaction that you would pay the engineers. So our resolution says that we would consult with you, so you would submit invoices to us for what you spent. That's how we would handle the transaction so that we could show where the money went.
Sure. Yeah, we're going to be the consultant, the link to you to the experts,
Okay.
so that we know we bring in the right people, and your task force will work with me to make sure that everything gets done appropriately.
So all the money that we would get from whatever grant is given us would be written checks to you, and you
Yeah,
would
it'll
disperse
be
it to your sources.
Correct. It'll be a
Okay.
contractual agreement between WISP Management LLC and the City of Holiday Island.
Okay.
And we'll bring that contract back before the council before we sign anything.
One more. Are we, if we get the engineering study done and it shows that we need to do some work, are we required to bid out the work to, like, Cox, him, whoever? Are we supposed to get multiple bidders to actually perform laying the cable and giving us?
I would, that's step 2.
Yeah.
And I would guess that would be dependent on whatever strings are attached to the money that we come up with. There'll be more grant applications. Those grant applications will have requirements. Mm-hmm. I would assume that one of the requirements is competitive bidding.
I would think even state law would require that we put out requests for.
Sort of what my thought was.
Although there are
probably
exceptions for professional services when a special skill is required and stuff like that. If there's
You do an RFQ.
if there aren't that many people that string.
No, I agree. And like he said, it could be an RFQ, and just like we did the attorney.
Yeah.
Actually, when I went to the county judge to apply for this grant and work with the county for this grant we just finished, the internet company is the one applying for the grant. The internet company comes to you and says, hey, you know, I'm going to apply for this grant. Can we partner on it? And I'll do the work for you. That's how it worked in that grant. Now, I'm assuming it would be the same way, but you would have the task force there to advise you what, you know, how to move forward with that. We didn't need to do any RFQ or any kind of bidding because.
So if their grant in Berryville is approved and they do the study, then there's an agreement with Berryville that you will install their project? I
told them right up front, I said, I want you guys to choose the best internet provider for you. You know, just because I'm the consultant and I happen to own an internet company doesn't mean you have to give the job to my internet company. I want you to decide what's best for you, and I want to tell you guys the same thing. There are other companies that do internet. You've got a cable company right here that does internet on the side. So you can decide which company you want to provide the internet for you and to do this work and to partner with to apply for additional grants. So if ABC Internet Company comes to you and says, hey, we're applying for a $5 million grant based on this engineering study you just received. You want to partner with us and we'll do the work. It doesn't cost you anything. Well, is there a rule that says you have to put bids out to do that? Because you're not spending any money. The grant is coming from the state. The ISP is coming to you, and you just say, you know what, get us some internet. So it's totally different than if you're spending city funds.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, we can address that and get exact answers and laws that relate during this feasibility study.
Okay, anything else?
We need a motion.
Yeah, I need a motion then to approve the resolution.
I'll so move.
Pat made a motion to approve resolution 2021-023, the resolution authorizing application for a broadband engineering grant. Do I have a second?
Second.
Jerry Pittman seconded it. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Mr. Mayor, we need a
Oh,
roll call.
roll call vote, sorry.
Councilmember Elwood,
Here, aye. I'm sorry.
Councilmember Graves,
Aye.
Councilmember Mills,
Aye.
Councilmember Pittman,
Aye.
Councilmember Dumas. Aye.
All right, the resolution is approved, and now Jerry has something to do at night. And like Jerry mentioned, we'll be pulling together some, as we always do in Holiday Island, we'll pull people out of retirement that have expertise in this field, and just in general grant writing. We've already got a couple of people that have volunteered to help write the grant, and I know of one gentleman that I talked to after the HIHA meeting that seems to have some pretty good insight into who does and who doesn't have cable in Holiday Island right now, so
And
I'll get in touch with
anecdotally,
him.
I had someone, after this showed up on the agenda, approach me and volunteer who has experience. In fact, the gentleman's talked to you. I won't mention his name right now, but
Okay, well, thank you for coming over.
Thank you all for letting me be here.
Yep,
Great to see you again. And you'll just get with me and we'll schedule some time.
all right.
Now that we're finished with Berryville, I can focus with you guys.
All right. Thank you, Roger.
Cheers. It's a pleasure.
Thank you,
Take care,
Roger.
y'all.
next item on the agenda is ordinance 2021-006, appointing the city council as the interim planning commission. Do I have a motion to put the ordinance on the floor? Well, wait a minute. Let me do this first here. I'll entertain a motion to suspend and dispense with the rule requiring a reading of the ordinance in full on 3 different days. So if I could have a motion, because we have an emergency clause in this ordinance, so if I could have a motion to suspend the rules on reading the ordinance on 3 different days.
I'll move that we suspend the
rule
on
reading the ordinance
on 3 different days.
Yeah, nobody wants to make that motion. 'Cause
Yeah,
nobody
that was
wants
a
to try to say
mouthful.
that.
Yeah.
Do I have a second?
I will second it. I don't have to repeat it.
Okay.
Just say so moved.
Since this is a ordinance, we'll do a roll call vote.
Councilmember Dumas, aye. Councilmember Elwood,
Aye.
Councilmember Graves,
Aye.
Councilmember Mills,
Aye.
Councilmember Pittman,
Aye.
all
Okay.
ayes.
So the motion carries. Now I will entertain a motion to place ordinance 2021-006 on the floor for consideration.
I move to place the ordinance on the floor.
Linda made the motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Lynn seconded it. I suppose roll call vote again.
You just, on this checklist, it's just a voice vote.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. I will read the ordinance unless you want to.
Oh, go ahead.
All right.
Thank you.
Ordinance number 2021-006, an ordinance establishing the members of the Holiday Island City Planning Commission for the City of Holiday Island, Carroll County, Arkansas, declaring an emergency and for other purposes. Whereas the Mayor of Holiday Island has conferred with the current Planning Commission Incorporated, formerly the Committee for Architecture, membership concerning their current practices, involvement, and regulations regarding the preservation of the terms and conditions included in the property units declaration of reservations, sometimes known as the covenants, within the Holiday Island municipal boundaries, and whereas the need to ensure that the city will, in a timely manner, adopt and enforce plans for the coordinated, adjusted, harmonious development of the city of Holiday Island and its environs, and the activities associated with urban planning, and whereas the City Council of Holiday Island adopted Ordinance 2021-002 on May 18, 2021, that established the Holiday Island City Planning Commission with 2 options of how the first commissioners shall be chosen and approved, and whereas Ordinance 2021-002, Section 3A, established that the Holiday Island City Council can serve as the Holiday Island City Planning Commission and on the Zoning Board of Adjustment, and whereas the City Council has determined that it is in the best interest of the City of Holiday Island that the first City Planning Commission members be the Holiday Island City Council to complete adequate studies through discussion and appropriate public input and disclosure, submit recommendations regarding development and redevelopment policies, general and specific plans, ordinances, and regulations. Now therefore be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Holiday Island, Arkansas, that Section 1, City Planning Council members determined pursuant to Arkansas Code of 1987, annotated 1456-404, the method in the City of Holiday Island Ordinance 2021-002, Section 3A shall be adopted, establishing that the City Council shall serve as the Holiday Island City Planning Commission. Section 2, City Zoning Board of Adjustment members determined pursuant to Arkansas Code of 1987, annotated 1456-404, the method in City of Holiday Island Ordinance 2021-002, Section 3A shall be adopted, establishing that the City Council shall serve as the Holiday Island City Zoning Board of Adjustment. Section 3, Emergency Clause, the need to make use of the provisions of Title 14, Chapter 6, Subchapter 4 of the Arkansas Code of 1987, annotated, as amended, to add members to the City Planning Commission in order to begin the process to adopt and enforce plans for the coordinated, adjusted, harmonious development of the city of Holiday Island and its environs, and the activities associated with urban planning is immediate, and an emergency is hereby declared to exist, and this ordinance shall be in full force and effect from after the date of its passage, passed and approved by the City Council of Holiday Island, Carroll County, Arkansas, on this date of July 20th, 2021. Okay.
We have to do something special with handling the emergency clause?
I don't think so.
Okay.
All right, I think everybody knows that the purpose of starting out with the City Council being the Planning Commission is in order to plan and execute a transition. As the ordinance states, the community has a functioning planning commission that's not a part of the city. They issue building permits. They try to enforce building codes, although they have no inspection process or inspector. They try to enforce the covenants, although they have limited authority and ability to do that. However, they have a system, and that system is functioning, and it's never prudent to turn the one faucet off until you know you have water coming out of the other faucet. So that's the point of the City Council. It is possible, I suppose, that the City Council could be the Planning Commission forever. However, I think that it's probably unlikely that once this transition is executed and the city has their ordinances in place and up and running, and we have a functioning code enforcement officer and building inspector and things like that, that we would then take that responsibility away from the City Council and give it to a permanent planning commission with other members, which would be basically option A in the original ordinance. So, do we have any discussion on this?
I think it's a good idea. I don't necessarily relish the idea of doing it, but we got to do it. It's something it has to get started,
right?
And we are the people that can do it easily. We have instructions that Lynn has provided early on in our formation of a city council that instructs us in how to go forward. Lynn pretty much knows what we need to do. So if we follow Lynn's guidance, I think we'll get it done. And
this will be a test of Lynn's leadership capability.
We can get some ordinances on the books that we need to fulfill this goal of Holiday Island.
Right. This really is the other reason why we incorporated. First reason was to bring money in. We got that working. That's going. This is the second thing, and it's the need is only getting worse every day.
Yeah.
We got houses going up. I trust that the builders are doing a great job, but we have buildings going up all over Holiday Island in places that I didn't even know. I drove past one the other day. I didn't even know there was a house going up on that street. Don't even remember where it was, but we really do need to have building codes and a building inspector. We need to have health and sanitation codes and a code enforcement officer.
It's our duty in the law to do that.
Yeah.
We just got to get it on the books.
This document here, the deliverables for the City Council acting as a transitional.
Yeah. That's basically still the guideline. Lynn is already, taking, mentally at least, taking the next step and starting to put together first actions for the planning commission to take, like,
Electing officers.
selecting officers,
Setting our
record
agendas.
keeping, kind of the same thing we went through when we set the city up initially. How are you going to conduct business? And that'll be the first order of business. And with that said, when we get to commissioners, or to scheduling at the end of the agenda, even though that's intended to schedule future city council meetings, I think it would be an opportunity for us to pick a date for our first planning commission meeting. Lynn?
I'd like to also say that for the benefit of the public, that the city council meetings are totally separate from city planning commission meetings. So we'll have our own agendas, we'll have our own separate meetings and announcements. The information we share will be kept separate because the two entities have to work independently and then share. The commission makes recommendations to the council. So it'll sound a little bit maybe repetitive that we just did this last week, we're doing this tonight. Well, it's the method we have to follow the law.
Mm-hmm.
So they will be separate.
So
All right.
will the ordinance be posted on our bulletin boards and?
This
what have
ordinance?
you? Yeah.
Yes, this is a city
But
ordinance
it
here.
will take effect like today,
Yeah.
tonight.
All right, if there's no other discussion, I will entertain a motion to approve ordinance 2021-006, an ordinance establishing the members of the Holiday Island City Planning Commission for the city of Holiday Island, Carroll County, Arkansas, declaring an emergency and for other purposes. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion, we approve ordinance 2021-006.
Ken made the motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Linda seconded it. Any further discussion? Roll call vote.
Councilmember Graves,
Aye.
Councilmember Mills,
Aye.
Councilmember Pittman,
Aye.
Councilmember Dumas, aye. Councilmember Elwood,
Aye.
The ayes have it. So ordinance 2021-006 is approved. Congratulations, Planning Commission members. Next on the agenda is a resolution approving, or a resolution amending the 2021 budget. It's resolution 2021-022. Do I have a motion to place this on the floor for consideration?
so moved.
Second.
Lynn made the motion, Jerry Pittman seconded it. Any discussion?
So,
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. I'll read the resolution. Resolution number 2021-022. Okay. A resolution amending the City of Holiday Island, Arkansas 2021 operating budget. Whereas the City of Holiday Island, Arkansas City Council is required by law to approve general and street fund annual operating budgets, and whereas Resolution 2021-005 established the City Council's approval of the budget presented by the mayor, and whereas recognizing that the budget as presented and approved was based on estimates as to the timing and amounts of anticipated revenue, as well as estimates on expenditures, and whereas 6 months of actual revenue and expenditures now provides a history upon which a more accurate budget can be presented, and whereas the Holiday Island Suburban Improvement District, HICID, and the City of Holiday Island have jointly agreed to suspend the 2021 road resurfacing program due to contractor job backlog, and whereas it is in the best interest of good governance to operate within a budget that more closely represents actual anticipated revenue and appropriations. Now be it resolved by the City Council of Holiday Island, Arkansas, that the operating budget for the general and road funds for the balance of 2021 be adjusted to reflect the following. General fund estimated revenue, $181,541, and appropriations, $123,318. Street fund, $145,830 in revenue and $44,000 in appropriations, for a total of $337,371 in revenue and $167,318 in appropriations.
I don't know what you're reading from,
That's
but
not
it's
the
not
same
the
thing
one
as
we
up
got.
there.
So what I've got.
Did you send out a newer version?
This is the one that Wes, this is the one I should have sent out like today.
Didn't get it.
Well, it's not posted, and I didn't see it in time, I guess, so. It's not the one on the screen,
No.
so we'll have to
Does-
get the other one
If
posted.
you add that one up, the revenue doesn't add up to 348
Yeah.
or something. Like 304,000.
So I wanted to point out there are some different numbers on the newer version.
That must have been a older draft.
The numbers you read do mathematically add up to the right totals, same totals in revenue.
Yeah. The one I'm reading from is the one that Wes provided me with. So I don't know where that copy came from. I must have pulled that out of.
So just read
Oh,
again
fine.
what the totals are.
Here.
Revenue, you got it? Okay. 181, 541, 135. So how do we get a smaller number if both of the general fund and street funds are bigger?
I'm adding these up and it adds to that.
Okay. Maybe this didn't add up.
And then,
Okay.
copy both.
830. Then 337, 371.
Yeah,
Okay.
this totals match.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, passed and approved by the City Council of Holiday Island, Arkansas on this date of 7/20/2021. Other than the fact that there's an old copy, an inaccurate copy floating around out there, I have the copy that will be signed and posted. So, is there any other discussion on this?
I am adding the revenue column, and it looks like 327, 371 would be the right sum. 8 and 4 is 12.
I don't have the figures, so I don't know what I know that one up there doesn't add up.
I was also thinking, wouldn't it be better if we just had a whole new budget page rather than just these adjustments to look at? I mean, or to post on the website so people knew what it said.
Well,
You can have the resolution with this, but couldn't we have an accompanying full budget page that's redone?
That would basically be the last financial statement on the,
It doesn't show the budget.
it kind of does.
no.
Kind of does, but
Going forward, it does. He's got the full year cash flow.
But has he made adjustments in expenses to where we won't exceed the budget?
on the new one.
Yeah, we're not required to do this because we're not exceeding any expenditures. It was just seemed to be a good idea because, the budget is turning out, the actual is turning out to be different than the original budget. Well, there's obviously some work needs to be done on this, and our treasurer is in Colorado. So why don't I just table this until to the next meeting.
I'll make a motion that we table it.
Second.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, back to the top. Oops.
Okay, moving on then. Report on the ward creation workshop. Basically the workshop wasn't that much of a workshop. There wasn't that much input from the public. There wasn't that much discussion. We basically went along with my recommendation. Following up on that, I did send the the ward boundary descriptions to the Arkansas GIS, Geographic Information Service, just to confirm that it was an adequate description to be able to create the boundary maps. They took that data and ran it through the reapportionment software, just to confirm if my population estimates were still correct. I thought she was using 2020 census data, but she was apparently using 2019, some sort of 2019 interim data. At any rate, the numbers were within just a few of each other, so there's no requirement to have an exact population number for the wards. It's only required that they be approximately equal, and I think we've demonstrated that. The law says that that the boundaries can't be arbitrary and capricious, and I think we've put enough work into this to demonstrate that that we didn't just randomly pick borders or boundaries, and there's no obvious intent to isolate areas of the community or anything like that. So between me and the people at GIS, we agreed that the population estimates were close enough. So I asked them how quickly they could actually produce maps, and the next day I had maps. And there was only one thing that Captain Obvious pointed out. They had town of Holiday Island instead of city of Holiday Island on the map. So thanks, Captain Obvious. I don't know if you watch TV, but that's one of the TV commercials.
Your descriptions that you did, did they use the same boundaries or?
Yeah, they created maps with the boundary description as I read, as I wrote it. So it basically followed the city boundaries and streets, so it wasn't difficult or highly technical. But I was amazed by how quickly they responded, not just in confirming population estimates, but in generating the map. Great bunch of people down there.
You just push the button and it comes out.
Well, I think there's a little more to it. Somebody's got to, at least they have to key punch in the boundary descriptions, or somehow get that data into their map. So anyway, I sent an email back to Jennifer Wheeler and asked her to change the heading on it to City of Holiday Island. I'm sure I'll get that back tomorrow. So we have ward maps, we have population estimates. I will run this by Justin before our next meeting just to make sure that we're not overlooking something. But I think we have enough to proceed at our next council meeting to be able to consider an ordinance officially establishing our ward boundaries, and then we can take that information to the county.
How do you foresee us making sure the public is aware of those boundaries?
I was gonna, well, the ordinance will be posted on the website with the, with the ward map as part of the ordinance. And,
From what I read, the county election officials have to notify us by mail what ward we're in. So we'll get that notification from the county.
and
But you'll use the bulletin boards to post the map or what have you,
well, the ordinance will be posted with the map.
with the map?
Yeah.
Okay.
Long term, I don't know that we would post the map in any public place.
It would be a document on our website.
It would be the document on the
Could be a
website,
document
which
on the
is the
website.
way everybody else does it that I'm aware of. So,
I opened up the sample we got today, and you can enlarge it, and the street names are all laid out on it. So it's not just a fuzzy color over top of any other map we have. The street names are clearly readable,
Wonderful.
and you can just blow it up as big as you need it because it's a PDF.
Would you post that today, or
do what?
did you post that today? I didn't see it.
He emailed it to us today.
Yeah.
I guess I didn't get that email, or didn't get it in time for the meeting. I was busy this afternoon, so Jerry called me with his
Yeah.
stuff, but I guess
I probably emailed it this afternoon because
Yeah.
I had to take Terry to oral surgeon this morning.
Okay.
So,
But it's not ready to post yet because we haven't approved it.
Right.
right.
Oh, so I thought you would want to post it prior to our approval so the public could have input.
Well, we can do that. We can,
Yeah.
we can put it we can put it out on the website and say that we will be making this official, at our next, city council meeting unless we're given cause to do otherwise. And,
So
now,
there-
how do you make that known to the public? The only way I know of is for you to put out on Facebook that we put something on the website, and then I'll put something on my Facebook page, and it'll get shared a couple of times, and historically, somewhere between 200 and 500 people will read it. I would've-
By any chance, there's not a state statute that says we should have a public hearing on it? Anything like that?
We did.
We had a workshop,
So, okay.
and we tried to solicit public input, and there's seemed to be very little interest. And
How long does it have to be on the bulletin board a period of time before we attempt to pass it?
not with the
I didn't
Or
find
does
it.
it not take effect after we pass it until a period of time?
right.
Okay.
Yeah, we would probably not use the emergency clause on this.
So then it would
And,
be 90 days.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That would
If
give
we did this
people
with the
who
3 readings
disagree with
and,
it a chance.
yeah,
Okay.
if we took the 3 reading, and 3 separate meeting approach on this particular one, it'll give everybody ample time to,
And there's no real
respond.
rush. We don't need it until
right,
some months from now
It's a
anyway.
February deadline, I recall.
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. I think that'll work
I recommend we do that we take 3 separate meetings and 3 separate readings.
Right.
for this one anyway.
Yep.
Okay, but I think the legwork is done on that project, so we can kind of scratch that from the list. Jerry, is there anything new to talk about on the?
Well, I just an update on the liquor by drink. We had a couple of questions that we've gotten resolved. The main one is, with what authority can we pass an ordinance to authorize liquor by the drink? And Arkansas Code annotated 3-9-203 D and I. The county, city, or town may authorize by ordinance the sale of alcoholic beverages for own premises consumption under this subchapter if the property owners association or the county, city, or town is located in or is a county that authorized the manufacture and sale of intoxicating liquor. So,
Carroll County is a wet county.
Right.
actually, the entire state is a wet county, and you can you hold an election to declare yourself dry. So.
So if we're not, if no one has held an election to declare us dry, then we can declare by ordinance.
That's
wet.
what this subsection says.
And there is a way to petition to be dry. And that's spelled out in the Arkansas Code. It requires a certain number of signatures to get put on the ballot.
But we've been contacted by a couple of the restaurant owners in town saying this would be something that they would need to, to supplement their services and sustain their viability. One thing that we may want to think about, and I'll draft the ordinance because I think Dan wants to get on the August agenda, is I've looked at ordinances from 2 or 3 different towns. One from Elkins, where they declared liquor by the drink. It was a very short ordinance that gave set the hours that they could sell liquor by the drink, and then basically cited the state statutes and ABC rules that they must follow. And then Farmington, they said basically the same thing, and then they listed all the state requirements. So I don't know if we want to do that.
I think it'd be better if we just cited the statutes so that if the statutes change, they will change the rules and follow those.
Correct. So
It'll stay current.
So
And that, I'm still trying to digest this a little bit because different communities have done it so differently. Pea Ridge very recently, earlier this year, passed an ordinance to allow liquor by the drink. So I figured that would be a good example to see what they did. And they have about a 14 or 18 page section in their Muni Code that addresses sale of alcoholic beverages, not just liquor by the drink, but in total. And they thought of a lot of different things. One thing is that they require a business license. That if you want to sell liquor by the drink, you have to have a business license. And we're not ready yet to have business licenses in Holiday Island. Is that a big consideration or a little consideration? I haven't come to my own conclusion on that yet.
well, I mean, Pea Ridge is a growing, really thriving, fast-growing city, so that might be a source of revenue from them. But
Yeah.
basically, we've got 2 restaurants that.
Yeah, and that was the other thing. I'm pretty sure that they have a city tax on liquor. So, there's whether we adopt that detail an ordinance or not, we'll have to decide. But at least there's a lot of things to consider. It's not just having a very short ordinance. I think there's more to it than just having a very short ordinance specifying the hours and then follow the rules, follow the state rules.
Would we be the next city or the second city in Carroll County besides Eureka? If we do it, or any other Green Forest or Berryville?
I don't know of anybody else that sells liquor by the drink. I know that if you look at, you can go to I guess it's on the ABC website that has all the counties listed.
Yes.
And and it'll say where it's dry, where they have opted to be dry in those counties. And sometimes it says by township, like this whole township is dry. So there is still such a thing as townships in Arkansas, even though they seem to have no practical use anymore, but they still come up in, in codes and stuff like that.
But this would just be strictly liquor by the drink. A lot of those on the ABC also go into liquor stores, which
Packaged goods.
Packaged goods, and
And that's something even I don't understand yet is, nobody can get a license, nobody can start up a liquor store in Holiday Island because there are no licenses available in the county. They're all snapped up. However, there's a finite number of them allowed. I don't know who makes the decision as to how many of them are allowed, but they're all snapped up. So if you can't sell packaged goods in the county because the county won't let you, then, then why can you sell liquor by the drink?
Because it's a drink, it's not a whole bottle.
Yeah.
You're not carrying it out.
All of our liquor money is going to Missouri, That's where people go to buy beer.
and the state law requires when they buy their liquor wholesale, they pay a tax to the state based on the number of gallons they buy. Might be $1 for every 50 gallons or whatever. I can't remember, but that would be a state tax.
Does that mean the Elks then could get a liquor by the drink law?
Well, that's a whole different set.
That's a private club.
That's a private club. The country club could get one under this ordinance.
Rebecca has a
That's
question
not a
if you
private
want
club.
to take a question.
No, under the ordinance we're considering.
Yeah, because of restaurant.
See, the country club used to have a liquor license, and they gave it up a few years ago because it was, once they started letting anybody in to play golf, then it was no longer technically a private club.
Are you ready? Want to take a question from our Zoom audience?
Sure.
Rebecca, do you want to unmute yourself and ask a question?
Yes, no.
I don't think she's got a microphone.
Oh, well, that's going to make it tough.
She's been sending them through
usually
Maybe she
chat.
wants to.
Oh, okay.
Oh, she says it was posted about wards.
We just got through talking.
I guess it's not about liquor by the drink. Maybe her question was answered, perhaps. If it wasn't, write me another note on chat.
The microphone's unmuted now,
Oh, it is?
so
Oh,
she
yeah.
could speak.
Your microphone's unmuted, Rebecca, if you want to say something. Oh, she doesn't have a mic, she says. Okay.
All right, well, we're still working on it. Maybe we'll have something by the next meeting. It's an active project.
Okay.
I just don't want to jump in there and make a mistake. So,
Well, neither do I, but we can talk
I don't
about it.
think anybody's pushing it right now.
What?
I don't think anybody's pushing it right now.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, they are.
Robert?
No, but I don't know if we need to go into that.
Anyway.
But
There has been an expressed need.
Yeah,
We'll save it
I
for
saw
public
that
comment.
a long time ago.
all right, moving on. Public comments, 3-minute limit.
There is a post from Rebecca.
Okay.
The question is it due to creating wards that everyone will have to run again for positions?
No.
Well,
No, it's
sort of.
It's
We were all elected for 2-year terms. All the council members were elected for 2-year terms. So the terms will expire next year. So everybody has to run. And now that we're a city of the second class, we're required to have wards and have the elections by ward. So, it's really, there's really two reasons. Even if we wouldn't have set up wards, we would have still had to have elections next year. All right, moving on to public comments. Any public comments besides Rebecca's question?
So anyone out there, just unmute yourself and speak up if you have a question. Or type it in chat. Don't see anything.
Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to mayor, council member comments. Make sure I don't have something buried in here I want to talk about. No. Any comments? Ken?
Have you heard anything back from the county on the?
Oh, I was going to mention that. That is something I was going to mention. I have not, and I sent Justin an email today as a reminder, and I'll call him tomorrow and see where we stand on that. I assume he has not heard back from the county, or he would have let us know.
I think they're probably going to try and ignore us.
Well, we need a response one way or another.
The other question is on the disaster funding thing. Does that kind of dissolve now, or will that tie in with this broadband thing?
Well, if we could come up with if we could get this grant and find out that we need X number of dollars, money to implement it, that is definitely something that qualifies under the American Rescue Plan Act. But we are ineligible for any of the automatic funding, so we would have to put it together in I don't want to call it a grant application to the state, because it would just be a request to the state. And Harlan Bro called me about this particular broadband thing, so I'm sure that he and Bob would try to go to bat for us as far as trying to get some money. As far as any other opportunities, I asked the district to provide me with cost estimates or figures for shovel-ready projects, although one would be a wrench-ready project. One, because you can use it on sewer, water, or broadband, are the three things you can spend money on. And so we were going to look at rehabbing the hydropillar, because it's the only one of our water tanks that hasn't been rehabbed and put in the maintenance program, as one possibility. The jockey pumps at well 5, I don't know if everybody knows how our water system works, but we have pumps in the well that pump the water up to a pair of jockey pumps that pump the water from there up into the tanks, so that the well pump doesn't have to pump the water up, all the way to the top of the water tanks. And, like everything else in our infrastructure, it's got a lot of years on it, a lot of run time on those pumps. So we were going to look at replacing a couple of those pumps, and then possibly rebuilding the ones that we took out, although Dan is doubtful that they'd even be able to be disassembled after all these years. So those are the three things that we're working on. Any other council member comments? All right. Going on to scheduling, our regular meeting. When is the third week of August?
Probably the 18th.
The 17th, August 17th. do we want to try to have a
We got a work
planning
session.
commission meeting before that? How about the 10th?
You had one
We
scheduled.
had a
We have a
work
workshop plan
What was the workshop on?
on health and safety ordinances.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that would, yeah, that's different from the planning commission.
Right.
What's more important at this point? Probably the planning commission. We haven't publicly announced or scheduled the workshop for the 10th yet. Let's change it to a planning commission meeting.
August the 10th.
For city planning commission.
City planning commission.
Time?
6 o'clock.
You know, it doesn't, how many participants did we have tonight?
On Zoom, we had, besides us, we had 2. Besides
So-
us and our minute taker, we had 2.
So, to me, it's not necessary to have a meeting at 6 o'clock at night, because it's obviously not generating a lot of
The
interest.
recommendation I would make, city planning commission will involve, in the future, contractors bringing proposals and plans, so business hours from them would be more convenient. We might start by setting a precedent of having the city planning commission during the day.
Works for me. August 10th is a Tuesday, so it's got to be in the afternoon.
Some of us can't play anymore. So.
Is that, will there be any conflicts with this room?
Some of you could play.
Anticipating we'll have that meeting in this room?
HICID they always have their meetings at 9 o'clock in the morning, so I don't think it would conflict.
All right.
But if it did, unless I don't know if we could set Zoom up. I mean, we could definitely have it at the
Well,
table in the office down
there are some advanced notification requirements for commissions, city
Yeah.
planning commissions, so we need to have it far enough in the future we can give proper notice.
It has to be open too, doesn't it?
Right.
I don't know we could hold it down there.
For the overflow crowd?
Yeah. Well, sure as hell they'd all show up.
2 p.m.?
When?
2 p.m.?
2 should work, right?
Yeah. I
I
might
do
still,
At a
have
site to be
carpet
determined.
cleaning.
I might still have my golf shoes on.
Linda has a conflict.
I have a carpet cleaning scheduled. It may not be done by 2. I had to wait a month to get them to come.
3?
Just saying. 3 would
Actually,
be
you know,
better.
I think the meeting,
three works for me, and, you know, it doesn't make me any difference. The closer you make it to mealtime, the more likely the meeting won't drag on.
our first meeting I don't think will take very long. It's, 3 p.m.?
3 o'clock.
I like that.
Okay.
I don't know, I get my mid-afternoon nap then.
You can nap here.
3 o'clock isn't mid-afternoon, that's late afternoon. All right, any announcements? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Ken made a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Jerry second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned.